Well, here we are, very close to my next masterclass, and I wanted to come on and just talk into one of the things that I see so much that I was also guilty of. Past hurts are creating blocks for us moving forward. So a past hurt from a potential partner, our family, our workplace, whatever it is, when we're carrying those with us all the time, it's actually stopping us. It's in our vibe. True manifestation takes a vibe, a really important vibe. And this is why there's so much involved in true manifestation. You know, back in the day, we were told, put it on the wall and read it out and it'll come true. It doesn't actually work that way. There's a lot more involved. It's just like if you have a crook arm and you go to the doctor and the doctor sends you off for an x-ray, you know, you look deeper into something and you look for the remedy and the way to fix that. And I think that, you know, I remember when I felt really lonely and I was craving love. And, you know, I remember people who loved me saying to me, go and talk to somebody, you know, go and see a psychologist. And I've done that many times in my life, and I praise them and I thank them because I made change from that. But at the end of the day, it was my mind and my heart that needed to change. I remember back when I was 20 and my dad died. I've always believed that my dad was disappointed in me as a daughter because of the choices I'd made, leaving home at 17, getting myself mixed up in the wrong crowd. And so, you know, when he died, him and I had only just started talking again, like we'd just started connecting. That was so painful for me. And it affected me moving forward because at the end of the day, if my dad was looking down on me at that time, he would have said, my girl, the oldest of my daughters, is strong. My girl is going to make it through this. She is going to become the person she wants to be because she was strong-willed. She left home when we didn't want her to. She was hanging out with people we didn't want her to. Her will is so strong. It took me a lot of years. In fact, probably 30 years before I truly got in touch with that. And that was affecting me receiving real, true love. The love that I wanted to accept and have. Because I believed I had done the wrong thing and I carried that with me. And in actual fact, as soon as I released that, I was able to move away from my marriage and stand up for what it is that I wanted. And then I went out into the dating scene for 20 years. And I was dating and I was feeling debilitated and depleted by the ghosting. You know, when you're talking to somebody and you think, oh, this is nice. He looks nice. She looks nice. And you're chatting away and then all of a sudden it just dies. And so you're left wondering, was it me? What did I say? What could I do differently? You see, all of these things affect us. And yet I say to my clients, you can't lose what you didn't have. So if you didn't have a love with that person, you were living in a fantasy of how you felt in that moment. That moment made you feel good and you built your fantasy around them. Oh, imagine when we do this. Imagine this. We have to make sure that we are not assuming. We have to make sure that we work on evidence. So what we do as human beings is we build these stories up for ourselves, stories that aren't necessarily true. And until we shift those stories, we're going to be stuck in those stories. We should be taught this in school. We should be taught how to love ourselves. We should be taught how to show up as the best version of us regardless of what anybody else says. You know, back in the day, like I'm talking when I was in my 30s and I was, you know, getting ready to go out and I had this absolutely delightful gown on or dress and I came out and the babysitter said to me, oh, Kaz, you look stunning. And I said, should I go get changed? So, you know, when you are a strong woman who is attractive and can work with people and talk to people, some other women, they make you feel so uncomfortable. You feel rejected. You know, this journey that I'm going on with people is about standing so strong, building this really strong, solid vibe of what you want, what you expect, valuing yourself, looking at yourself in a way and seeing yourself the way you want others to see you. You attract who you are. You know, it's time for us to start really looking at who we are projecting, because who we are projecting is who we are attracting. I hear all the time, I just keep attracting the same people. Why do I keep attracting the same people? Everything comes back to this vessel, comes back to us. And so if you go and look for a doctor if you're not feeling well, a hairdresser if your hair's not good, in the workplace, more training if that's what you need, pardon me, why not look for somebody who can hold you accountable and turn those thoughts around when those thoughts take over you? Like, to get to the point where when somebody doesn't show up when they've said they would, or somebody just stops texting, that you can just go like that and turn that around from hurt and overthinking to just purely simply going, oh well, thank you very much, at least I know. I don't want to waste any more of my time. My time is valuable. So I'm going to be sharing 3 shifts that you could even make today to the way you date. And these 3 shifts are shifts that my clients are using, that I used. I had to change the way I was doing things. And when I really took ownership for that and had some tools around me that are now tools that I use in my formula, that's when things changed. You know, I say it all the time. I'm not the only one that says it. If you keep doing the same thing and expect different outcomes, that is the definition of insanity. So if you really want to know how to change the way you're dating, the way you're showing up, you've got nothing to lose. And maybe 90 minutes of your time, and maybe some self-doubt and self-criticism. Let's rise together and really change our vibe and change our outcomes. I really look forward to seeing you there, and I can't wait to share with you some of the tools that are changing the lives of my clients.